you guys can have a copy, or if people want to come that chose to go to a different session, they can always watch the recording. So thank you for whoever put that in there. I appreciate it. All right. So this will be recorded, as I said. Make sure to keep, as I said, your microphone off if you can. But of course, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. We encourage everyone to put their cameras on. I know some people are probably multitasking if you're in your classroom or whatever. Totally understandable, but just to get a feel for everyone here, that would be awesome. And again, like we said, follow up will be with the Google form that you guys can send us questions. And the district wanted us to just kind of go over, making sure to go over our big question for today as you go. I know that some of you went to a session right before this. And the essential question is, how can we leverage data to design and implement high quality instruction that addresses the diverse learning needs of every student? So I think the key for our session today is addressing the diverse learning needs for every student. So some of the feedback that they got from the survey that was sent out, I think in October, November, was people wanting movement activities, things to get up and moving in between direct instruction, getting kids outside. How can we get the kids that kind of need a little bit more movement throughout the day and implement that so that we can also include all of the academic instruction that you guys do throughout the day. So I think that's kind of how our session today will tie into our bigger picture as a district. And again, that bit.ly, which should be in the chat now, that bit.ly is to have the presentation as well if you want to follow along or look at later. So today's schedule, I know you guys had a session earlier, 10 to 10:40, and then obviously ours is the second. And we should be trying to wrap up by 11:30, if not a little bit before today, as we go through a bunch of activities for you guys.
And we chose to break it up into 4 categories for you guys. So there's going to be 13 games total, some with equipment and some without. So the 4 categories, Corey's going to go over the first 2. There's going to be ball equipment needed and also
no equipment.
No equipment.
Nothing. Yeah.
And I'll be sharing hoop and then miscellaneous. So it could be frisbees, it could be bean bags. So Corey's going to start with the first 2 categories.
Yeah. So we started calling this movement Moving with Purpose. So thinking about things that you guys can do. We tried to keep them all simple, doable, ones that don't require too much equipment, don't require too much space, things that hopefully you could, you know, the classic takeaway of like things that you could do tomorrow, that hopefully would help kind of add some movement into your guys's day. And as well as social emotional learning, working on those cooperation skills, creating more classroom community and things like that as well. So obviously for connecting to the bigger standards, when you look at the elementary PE standards, they are grouped into 5 giant strands. And then within each grade level, they're broken down in different ways. But the big ones that we're focusing on are typically 1 and 5 today. 1 is the motor skills, the movement skills, so the actual physical doing of it. So whether that's being able to catch a ball, whether that is throwing overhand, underhand, being able to move in locomotor and non-locomotor ways, all of that is within the first big strand, which is mostly what our activities consist of. And then number 5 as well, which is a lot of the social emotional learning, which is the cooperation, the sportsmanship, taking turns, all that kind of stuff really falls under the big 5th umbrella. And numbers 2, 3, and 4 are other things that are more, I don't want to call like typical PE, but like more like what you would think of deeper PE, tracking their physical growth, nutrition stuff, you know, learning how to do a proper push-up, like all these types of things are more within the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strand, which we have some standards within those 3, but not as much as 1 and 5. So I just want to point that out for anyone that's curious. And so, like we said, first one is going to be activities with no equipment. So these are things that you can do in your classroom, some of them, or just out in an open space. So just taking your class out somewhere in the field or on the blacktop, depending on the activity. And so the first one that we'll go over is a game called Bump or Bump Tag. And we also try to pick activities that hopefully not everyone knows. So again, I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of different movement stuff, a lot of morning meeting games, and all these things. So I apologize if someone already knows some of these, but we try to pick ones that maybe we haven't seen as much when we go around to site. So we'll try to explain these the best that we can via webinar, but as you can see, we try to include videos or diagrams as well. So for you to refer back to and kind of get more of a visual. So just to explain this the best that I can via video. Essentially, you have everyone pair up. So this could be done in an outdoor space. I probably wouldn't do this indoors. I would probably do this on a field or on a blacktop. Is you have your whole class pair up into teams of two. And then one pair is the runner and the the tagger. And as that person running is trying to catch the other person, that other person is going to tag on and be a third and kind of bump the person on the other end to be the runner. So if you kind of look at the screenshot of that video, you see all those stars of two people together, and then one person who's running away leaps on kind of at the end of the line of the AB, and then the other person kind of shoots off and becomes A. There's a bunch of names for this activity, but I found Bump Tag as the video, so I called it Bump Tag. But really, the thing that you're working on here is paying attention, like responding once someone is added to your group. If you're in a group of two and someone's added, that third person needs to be aware of it and shoot off, which is also part of a standard, is to like know to react to someone else doing that. You're doing locomotor practice. You can make it running, you can make it skipping. And again, it's a really quick, easy, no equipment kind of game. In the video, he says that you could also have the pairs of two be seated. So then the person running around is sitting down with a group of two, and then the third person has to stand up and run away. That's also an option. It makes it so that the person has to get up from seated to standing, which is also a standard, believe it or not, in the PE standards. So just a fun, easy game on that one. And if there's any questions, if that doesn't make any sense to you, let me know in the chat. But hopefully that one's easy peasy.
Game's called Bump.
We're not going to watch a video. You can do that on your own time. Second activity that we have is called Rhythm Tag. And this can be done in the classroom. It could be done outside. It's honestly a little bit tricky unless you have a quiet area where students can hear you, or if you have if you have a mic, like to go microphone, or if you have an instrument, you could use that outside as well. And how you play rhythm tag is you can have everyone be it, you could have nobody be, or you could not nobody, that would not be fun. You could have one person be a tagger, two people, or you could have everybody be it. And essentially what you do is the teacher is clapping or playing an instrument, and I would start off playing a beat. So I would say 1, 2, 3, and I'm clapping a beat. And every time I make a sound, whether that's the clap or the instrument, a student is allowed to move 1 foot forward. So every time I clap, move 1 foot. Second clap, move another foot. And you're slowly moving around the room to the beat in order to tag someone. So I have two videos here. One is doing it, which would be great for primary, is they kind of play this game with learning syllables. So this teacher is clapping out like banana, and they're clapping the syllables of words, and that's how the kids move around the room and tag each other. And you could have if you get tagged, you're a tagger. If you get tagged, you sit down. There's a lot of different ways that you could play it. For upper grades, you could have them do a little bit faster of a beat. You could also have a student be a counter, or like do clap the beat. You could also move on to rhythm versus beat. So rhythm is steady, or excuse me, beat is steady. And then if you wanted to add in rhythm, like dun, 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 so then they would step do, 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 right? So easy way to get up, move around the room, play with music, play with syllables, play with kind of moving slowly and safely. That's what I would say the biggest tip for this activity is, that you really start slow, because when I've played this with students, they are get excited and they don't move to the beat. They try and essentially like race around the room, right? So really emphasizing that you need to move as I clap. So I always practice that first. I clap. Okay, move one foot. Okay, clap, move another foot. And I kind of practice that first. And as they get to walking to a beat as I clap, then kind of adding in the quote unquote tag element. So that is rhythm tag. Oh, sorry, I put that on. And then the last game that we have without equipment would be called Road to Royalty. And this one, you don't need equipment, because you could play on like lines on the playground or some sort of start and finish though. So you do need a start and finish somehow, which could be cones, it could be a chair, it could be a poly spot, whatever you have. And I have this diagram to help make sense of this one. So essentially, if you look at those X's are students in line, and they are waiting to race out to the king or queen. So you need a spot for the king or queen to be at, and then you need a spot for the line of students to play as well. So that first X right there would race to the king or queen. You could have them move in any sort of way. You could have them walk, you could have them run, you could have them skip, hop, jump, crawl, whatever. And when they get to the king or queen, they're going to play rock, paper, scissors. Now, if I walk out there and I play rock, paper, scissors with the king or queen and I win, then I get to take over and now I'm the queen. Yay. And whoever was there has to go back and get in line. Now, if I lose and I race out there and I play against you and I lose, you, the king or queen, get to tell me how to go back in line, or you could have them give them like an exercise. So if I lose to you, then you could tell me do 5 jumping jacks, or you could say you have to hop your way back to line. So they give them some sort of exercise, and you could change this. You could say, okay, kings and queens, tell everyone a locomotor way to go back. So you get to choose how the person goes back. Or you could say, okay, kings and queens, you're going to give them an exercise to do for 10 seconds. Okay. And I'm really emphasizing obviously safety here. So sometimes I'll give them ideas of, okay, tell them to do an exercise like a jumping jack, or to do a yoga pose, or to do a push up or whatever, depending on your grade level, obviously, and what type of environment you're in as well. So that one's great. It's really open-ended. You could also, I thought, for the classroom, you could add in like something academic as well. Have them like have the king or queen ask them like multiplication questions or something instead of like doing something physical, something like that. So you could play with that, but it's a great way to just get the kids up and moving, and it's adds a little bit of competition, but not a ton, and really emphasizing being a leader versus being a follower here, like coming up with ideas. And I've been surprised how well kids do. I don't know. Did I forget anything with that one?
Sometimes if a king or queen, if they're the winners and they give an exercise, like for an example, okay, do 10 push-ups, and the student is about doing push-ups or maybe doesn't know how to do a push-up, you notice that, kind of walk around, just offer a modification, you know.
Yeah, depending on the class, I really figured out like if, or I'll say like you can give them one alternative, or when we've played this outside, they're like, oh, the grass is too wet, I don't want to do a push-up. Like, okay, then what else could you do? So again, depending on your class, depending on where you are, that one. And then this last one with no equipment is called Switch. And for this game, you're going to need 4 corners. So we've played this a lot on Foursquare courts. Some of your schools have a lot of them. Or you could just have 4 corners with a cone, or with a, like I said, get a piece of chalk and draw 4 squares somewhere. But essentially, there is 4 people in a corner, and then 1 person in the middle. Depending on how many kids you have, you could have a few people in line as well, depending on how many courts you have. And so the person in the middle is going to yell out switch whenever they're ready. And as soon as they yell out switch, these 4 players in the corner have to race to move to a different corner. So maybe I am yeah, well, maybe I'm this guy and I am racing to go here. This guy try to goes across, and they're all kind of moving around, right? And as they're all moving around to get to a different corner, this person in the middle is also trying to get to a corner. So maybe they decide that they're going to race here. So at the end of it, obviously, there's only 4 corners, and the 5th person is out. So that 5th person can either go back in the middle if it's just a group of 5 and they are the caller again, or if you have a line waiting, then they can get back in line, and the next person gets to go out and be the middle caller. So that one's super easy. The kids really like this one, and we learned it like last year, and it was like one of the biggest hits. Kids loved it.
Sometimes it's a tie when they get to the corner. Sometimes it's a tie.
Oh yeah.
And if that happens, they just rock, paper, scissors to see.
Yeah.
Get to the corner.
Rock, paper, scissors. And also I'll say that if we have especially the no equipment games have a lot of rock, paper, scissors. And for if anyone's TKK first, we usually spend a few days working on playing rock, paper, scissors, obviously, if they don't know how to play. And then if there's arguments over rock, paper, scissors, we just say, do it again. Like if kids come up to us, he's changed, you know, he got scissors, so now he has rock. I say, okay, do it again. I'm going to watch you. And I just have them do it again in front of me. And then I say, yep, that's it. And usually that stops the argument. So those are all kind of no equipment ones to get your classes up and moving. And then these ones are all different types of balls. So depending on what you have available at your site or in your classroom, I'll kind of go over which balls will work. The first one is Catch 5, and you can use any type of ball, like literally anything. It doesn't matter. All you're doing is having them in partners. They're facing each other and starting pretty close together, and they're passing the ball and trying to get 5 in a row. So tossing, primary grades are usually working on underhand, uppers going over, and you could include a bounce, whatever. But either way, if they get 5 in a row, they take 1 step back. Get 5 in a row at that distance, take 1 step back. If they drop it, they can go take 1 step in to be closer again, or you can have them go back to the beginning and just stand like a foot apart. So catch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, take a step back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, take a step back. That one's super simple and easy. Ultimate kickball. So just think of, you'll need a few kickballs actually for this one, more than one. And it's, think of regular kickball. You have a offense, you have kickers and then people out in the outfield. But the pitcher is continuing to pitch. The pitcher doesn't stop. And you have a bucket of balls next to you. So a bucket, or we've used a hula hoop to keep all of the balls in one place for the pitcher. And if that ball, or if that bucket, excuse me, or hula hoop ever becomes empty, you get a point. The other team gets a point. So if the kickers are kicking it and they're just continuing to go, I'm pitching it to them, they're kicking, and the outfield has to be running around trying to get the balls all back in my basket. If I lean over to get a ball and it's empty, then the kicking side gets a point. You can either have them switch once a point is made, or sometimes I'll just let all the kickers go once and then say switch. But different ways to do that. It's like fast-paced kickball, like really, really fast. I myself pitch as the teacher, but upper grades, we've also had students pitch if they feel capable and you feel like comfortable with that. And then last game for balls is soccer drill. Practicing some soccer skills, and you need 3 cones, and the first person, you see that number 1, that person's going to throw it in overhead towards the second person's feet. The second person needs to stop it with their foot and then kick it to the third person. That third person dribbles all the way. I'll use my little annotation here. Where are you? So I throw it overhead to this person, that person stops it, they kick it with their feet to this person, and then number 3 dribbles it along the side back to the first person, and then they all move up. So it's a group of 3, they're continuing to move up each time. So you just need 3 cones or 3 bots and some soccer balls. That one takes a little bit of time, obviously, to set up depending on how many kids you have, but it usually goes really well, especially for primary grades that are really working. Some of the older kids would get bored with this one because they have a lot of good soccer skills, but a lot of the primary ones really needed this kind of practice.
Hey, Corey, we had a question in the chat. Someone asked about what are some great ideas for movement when it's a rainy day?
We can send out, and I debated adding this, but we just didn't have time. Obviously, some of the ones that I have that are indoors, like rhythm tag would be a great one. And then we also have a deck, and I'll write this down. We have a deck that we had that are mostly videos in there, but ones that are like, we have like a whole like movement indoor slide that I can add to the Bitly link as well. Thank you. And then a few of these ones that Heidi will go over could also be played inside with the hoops.
Okay, I realize we've got 10 more minutes
Sorry,
left already.
I'm talking too much.
Time flies, so
Okay.
I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. You might have seen Rock, Paper, Scissors Battle, otherwise known as RPS Battle. A lot of fun. You just need small hoops or big hoop, and you line up all the hoops. There's 2 teams. So if you look at the diagram, there's a video there that you can see the stars. The red stars are one team, and then the blue stars are another team. The first person in each line are going against each other. So they're gonna hop, or they can hop on 2 feet, they can hop on 1 foot, you can change up the movements. But let's say they're hopping for the first one, they're hopping in the first hoop and they're hopping towards each other. And then when they face each other, that's when they do the rock, paper, scissors. And then whoever wins can keep going forward. Whoever loses goes to the back of their team line. You can do this with having a different color hoop as the second hoop on each side. If the student gets to that hoop first, then they get a team point. So you can change it up, try to keep it moving. I notice sometimes the kids that are waiting in line, it's not their turn because it is one at a time, going against each other, going in the hoops. Sometimes they get a little bit restless in line, so you can always do some kind of movement while they're waiting for their turn.
The video explains this one really well too.
Mhm. Right, and then musical hoops, pretty simple one. This could be inside the classroom as well. You can use small hoops or big hoops. We like to use Kids Bop for the music, and you know, you can choose the music depending on what the season is. Halloween, we try to play Halloween music, winter songs, things like that. But changing up the moves here, you can do so many different things with locomotor and non-locomotor moves. Primary grades, you can tell them to walk like a dinosaur. Upper grades, fourth and fifth, they love to do the catwalk, you know, things like that. Spice it up for them as much as you can. Make it harder for the primary grades. You can even do a plank walk. They enjoy, most of them enjoy the challenge.
This one could be done inside as well, especially primary with your carpet area or for upper grades on the perimeter of your classroom. We have tiny hoops that we got from Amazon and we just lay them around the room and you can do it that way too.
And we don't play with outs in this one. I know the fourth and fifth grade people or students always request outs and taking the hoops out, and we just don't really encourage that normally. I know they enjoy that, but
Yeah.
depending on your class, you know, just
Right.
kind of get a feel on how your class will deal with that. And then yeah, for the upper grades, just make your hoops a little further apart to make it more challenging. And
Yeah, that one's super simple and easy and fun because they like the music too.
Mhm. And then duck duel, another fun one. All you need is 4 hoops. And this is where it's a rock, paper, scissor game. And they're working on, it could be a lot of different things. We usually do 3 levels. So first level is a duck. Then the second level is could be a flamingo, it could be a swan. And you show them the moves there. And then the third level is an eagle. So the 4 hoops represent an eagle nest. So basically everybody, the whole class starts as a duck. So they're all crouched down into a low squat. Yes, they get tired in this, which is good. And they're pretending to be a duck. So they're going around being a duck. And then they find somebody that is the same as them. So of course, all of them are starting out to be duck. So they find another duck. They do the rock, paper, scissors battle. Whoever wins advances to level 2, which could be a swan. And they're hopping around on 1 foot, maybe flapping their wings underneath, whatever it could be. And then the swans find another swan. So the swans then do the rock, paper, scissors battle. And if you win, you become the eagle and you get to go in a nest.
Yay, I won because I was standing and I was a swan and I won and now I get to go to the eagle's nest. Yay.
Mhm.
And then if you become an eagle, then you get to battle someone in one of those hoops. So there's 3 levels. There's the sitting duck, which is like squatting. And then if you win as a duck, you stand up and you're a swan or a flamingo or something. And then if you win as that, then you're in the corner as a eagle. So that was my fun drawing. Yay.
And you could do different characters for different seasons too. For winter time, you can always do level 1 snowball, level 2 could be snowman, level 3 could be yeti. You can mix it up and you can even ask the kids to come up with an idea.
They love to come up with the ideas.
Yeah.
Can we all be chickens today? Great. Yeah, everyone starts as a chicken or have it be theme with your science unit or benchmark unit or something.
Mhm. And could be frisbees or beanbags. The first one's frisbee golf. You need hoops on this one. Usually the big hoops are better. So the white circles in the diagram represent the hula hoops. Darker circle ovals represent the poly spots. And the X's represent the students. On top of the poly spot is a frisbee. So we'll just imagine a frisbee there.
Yay.
And then, so each person, they take turns for the Frisbee, and you can choose whatever points you want in the hula hoop. Maybe you have the first row could be red hoops, the second row could be green, purple, whatever. And yeah, each row is a different amount of points. And Frisbee, try to have the students run hoops, not on the hoops, because then they get all messed up.
Yeah, I tell them like, yeah, you can't go through the pyramid. You need to go on the side of the pyramid and then kind of cut through. So if they make it into this hoop, go around and then I'll kind of go this way. But that can be tricky.
And then they pick up their Frisbee, they come back to the back of the line, and the next person goes. Typically, they sometimes want to throw the Frisbee back to their team, encourage them only throwing towards the hula hoops. And then to give their Frisbee back to the next teammate, they do have to run it side of the hoops, run it back to your teammate, and then get back in line. So try to keep it moving the whole time.
Yeah, so yeah, I tell my classes you cannot throw it back. If I see you guys throwing it back to this way, I'm gonna take a point away, or I'm gonna just reminding them not to do that. Always Frisbees always have to go this way, and you can make the points, 5, 10, 15, 20, or yeah, this one's super fun, but it does take some setup is the only issue with this one. Takes a little bit of time. But if you do like grade level PE or you do like stations, if you got all your fourth grade teachers, I set up a game, you set up a game, or have the kids run the track, and then while you're setting it up, that could be a good option too.
Mm-hmm. And you can always switch it up. You can have either teacher or student holding up a hoop in the back just to make it more challenging.
Oh yeah, sometimes you hold it up and they can throw it through. It's fun.
Okay, our next one is Fire and Ice. They love this game. This is a good tag game. The red X's represent students with red beanbag, and that's going to be fire. So it's kind of like freeze tags. The students with the three blue X's are students with blue beanbags, and their job is to freeze a student. So they're a boundary area. We normally have some cones set up, and it's usually a big rectangle area that they can run around in. So the blue beanbag students tag any of the students and they're frozen, and then the red beanbag students can unfreeze them.
Opposite. You said it the opposite.
I always said the opposite.
Oh no, you're right. No.
Blue freezes.
Sorry. Yeah.
Red is unfreezing.
Yes.
Okay.
Blue freezes, red fire lets you not freeze. Yes. Sorry, you said it right.
And you could switch it up every few minutes, the students. So there's 6 students that you choose for the beanbags. You can switch it up. So
and if you don't have beanbags, you could use like, I don't know, something else soft. If you have like a piece of fabric from something, I don't know, like it doesn't have to be beanbags, but something red, something blue, freeze, unfreeze.
I think this is our last one here. So Caterpillar, you need hoops and also beanbags if you want to. So the students you'll see in the video does such a great job explaining as well. Each student, there's teams of, I'd say 6, 5 or 6. Each student is standing in a hoop, and the person at the very end is standing inside the hoop. They lift it up over their head. The team member, the person at the end drops on the ground, and then the person runs up and goes into the hoop, and they keep moving it along. So it moves like a caterpillar. The hoops just move along as a caterpillar. They eventually get to a pile of 3 beanbags that's kind of lined up from the hoops. They grab 1 beanbag, food for the caterpillar. They do the same thing going back to a boundary area. It could be a poly spot or it could be a cone, and they caterpillar back and forth. And
this one's a little hard to explain. Heidi and I were trying to think of the best way to explain this one. It's kind of tricky, but the video does it perfectly. And you could also show that video to we've done that before going outside. This is how you're going to play. Show them the video and go outside and play is a great option. Yeah, 11:30 exactly. I feel like we went super fast. So as we said, the bit.ly is in there for you to go through this and look at the instructions again as needed. Look through the diagrams or the videos, and obviously the Google form is there for you to send us questions, or most of you know maybe one of us from one of our sites or something, you can always email us. If you're like, hey, how do you play that game again? I kind of remember I read the directions, like what is it? We are here. We have so many of these. I thought we would not have enough, but we, of course, I feel like went so fast. So feel free to email us if you need help, if you have questions, whatever. And I really appreciate you guys coming. I hope it was helpful. I hope you can get up and move with your quiz, and just email us and let us know if you need anything. We're here to help. And I hope it was fun. So thank you guys. And again, thanks Liberty for sending that again
Absolutely.
in the chat. So again, just feel free to email us if you guys have any questions, but I hope it was helpful. And yeah. Anything
Thank
else?
you.
Cool.
I think that's it.
All
Yeah.
right,
Thank
you
you for
guys are
coming
cool.
today.
Thanks for coming.
you.
Bye,
Thank
Kim.
you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.